Welcome to Mugello for event 10 of the International Touring Car Championship. Well, from France, the ITC Circus has travelled south to this wonderful Mugello circuit, and of course it's Alfa Romeo's home event, so their supporters have turned out in force. In the last event in France, Alfa were 1-2 in both races, to the joy of their crew. But championship leader Manuel Reuter had a disastrous weekend and failed to score. So Alessandro Nannini is creeping closer to the title on points. And British Opel driver Oliver Gavin was taken out by this kamikaze move by Hans Stuck. Here in Italy, the Alfa Romeo fans haven't been disappointed. Nicola Larini is on pole position for race 1, half a second quicker in his Alfa than last year's champion Bernd Schneider in the Mercedes. Schneider's teammate, the Scot Dario Franchitti, won here last year. He's only 13th on the grid today, but this is a track he knows well and one he likes.
Yeah, it's a good circuit because it's a very long straight followed by a tight corner. There's a couple of spots you can get by, and towards the end of the race it's very hard on tyres here, so there'll be some guys sliding about. Hopefully they can take advantage of that as well.
Oliver Gavin is still smiling, even though he's only 17th on the grid. And he's had to lend his usual car to Manuel Reuter, whose car was burnt out in France.
Certainly I'll be pushing for a good result towards the end. So, yeah.
That was your teammate Manuel Reuter.
Yes.
Okay. I think you had to really be a good teammate in qualifying and work with him.
Yeah, that was a little bit unfortunate. I was asked to help my teammate out in qualifying and tow him round, which is a little bit unfortunate for me because it wasted my qualifying session. And he didn't really find any advantage from it. But, you know, sometimes they want you to try these things and you have to do what they say. So that's part of being in a team.
So, to the rolling start for race 1, with Alessandro Nannini and Bernd Schneider on the front row. There they are with Fisichella following them in the Alfa, and the other Alfa of Alessandro Nannini on row 2. They come up to the line, the lights go green, and it's Larini and Schneider absolutely side by side. Schneider nosing ahead just a bit, and now Larini fights back. They're side by side as they go down the long straight towards the first right-hander, and the Alfa's on the inside. Van Orman spins. Jörg Van Orman spins his Mercedes right in the middle of the pack. Miraculously, everybody avoids him, and he's going to get it back onto the track. I think he does so, but at the front it is Nicola Larini who has the lead. Bernd Schneider in second place. That's Gabriele Tarquini getting on the grass as they go funneling through, and Oliver Gavin has made a miraculous start. He was 17th on the grid. He's 8th now in the blue and white Opel. Larini, Schneider, Fisichella, Alpman, the top 4. Then it's Dario Franchitti 5th in the Mercedes. From Modena, Nannini, and Alessandro Nannini has Oliver Gavin in his mirrors. But there you see the first lap with Jörg Van Orman spinning off to the outside. Everybody else goes through, and Van Orman manages to get the car pointing in the right direction. And somebody's bonnet, that's a Mercedes bonnet, being rushed away by a marshal. Somebody's lost their bonnet, but now Nicola Larini pulling out a little bit. The battle's going on all the way down. Look at Franchitti attacking Alpson. Alpson in the yellow Opel. Franchitti in the second of the silver Mercedes. And Stefano Modena in the red Alfa behind them. The red and white Alfa is Alessandro Nannini. Oliver Gavin in the blue and white Opel at the back of that 5-car battle for 4th place, with Uwe Alpson just holding off the Mercedes of Dario Franchitti as they come funneling through the downhill right, then left. Franchitti looking for a gap, the rest of the field ganging up behind them. And Dario Franchitti won't be happy about this because the leaders are getting away. Larini, Schneider and Fisichella, the first 3, moving away. Alpson in 4th place, holding up the rest. There is the black Opel, number 7, of the championship leader, Manuel Reuter, who is well down the field. And Nicola Larini pulling out over 1 second now. And I think that Franchitti has got ahead of Uwe Alpson at last. At the front of that queue, there is the silver Mercedes in 4th place. Dario Franchitti is now 4th. But they're the 3 leaders, with still Larini, Schneider and Fisichella moving away. Dario Franchitti in 4th place. Uwe Alpson pushed down to 5th, and Alpson now being pushed by 6th man Stefano Modena. It's effectively two races, one for the top three, another for fourth place. Oh, and that's the bonnet. That is Jan Magnussen's Mercedes, and that's where the bonnet came from. Magnussen now in the pits, where they're taking off the shreds of the old bonnet. They're having a quick look round, and Modena is off. Into the dirt goes Stefano Modena. I don't know what happened there, but Modena is out. And we're going to see, I think, what did happen. It was Oliver Gavin immediately behind him. Modena spins round. Now, did Oliver Gavin push him? Well, the officials thought he did, because Gavin is in for a stop-go penalty, and he stalled the car. He's come in for a 10-second stop-go penalty, and then he stalled the car, and that has delayed Oliver Gavin, who'd come all the way up to 7th place. Stefano Modena spun off, and the officials decided it was his fault. I wonder if Oliver will agree with that. And meanwhile, the battle's going on all the way down. That's Wurz moving up. Wurz passes Nannini and sets off after the yellow Opel of Uwe Altsson. And Alessandro Nannini, who is nominally the leader of the Alfa Romeo team, just doesn't seem to have had the speed. That's Manuel Reuter off now. Championship leader Manuel Reuter to the dirt, as we watch the battle for the lead once more, and Bernd Schneider, piling on the coals, gets a little bit closer. We're travelling now in Fisichella's car, because that's Franchitti. Oh, getting so close to the back of Fisichella's Alfa Romeo. There they go. There's a battle for the lead. There's a battle for third place, with number 2 Mercedes sitting on the tail of the red Alfa. That's Fisichella, and look at the lap times. Franchitti consistently just a little bit quicker than Fisichella. Here's the battle for 5th. Altsson, Wurz and Hans Stuck in the number 44 Opel at the tail of that 3 Opel train. There's Stuck, and Altsson goes wide, Wurz goes through. A little mistake by Altsson there, and now Wurz is ahead of him. Stuck is lining up. I think Stuck's going to get a run on him as well, because Altsson is off his stroke just a little bit. They come over the brow, and Stuck is going to try and run down the inside. He does, and so that one mistake for Uwe Altsson in the yellow Opel has lost him 2 places. Wurz up to 5th, Stuck up to 6th. Now the battle for the lead once more. And look how close that Mercedes is, almost in the boot of the Alfa Romeo, in the slipstream, as they come over the start-finish line through the slight left-hand curve that takes them down to that tight uphill right-hander. 1600ths of a second between them. A wide entry for Schneider. Can he get a tighter exit? No, he doesn't. He goes wide all the way around the corner, and Nannini hangs on to the lead through the left-hander that follows, and then the right. It's a superb circuit, this Mugello track. Very demanding, smooth, wide and fast, and a lot of interesting corners, a lot of overtaking opportunities. Bernd Schneider, last year's champion, looking for one of them now as the leader of this year's championship. Manuel Reuter comes into the pits, and JJ Lehto going down the inside of Christian Danner. The two of them collide. That was quite a moment between those two, but we've still got these 2 battles at the front. For first place between Larini and Schneider. For third place between Fisichella and Franchitti. There they are. That's Fisichella, number 14 in the red Alfa. Dario Franchitti, 3100ths of a second behind him when they cross the start-finish line. I reckon they're even closer than that now as they come down the hill towards the next series of corners. And Franchitti trying to decide where is he going to look for the gap. Nosing one side, then the other. And we see from the back of Fisichella's car with the onboard camera how Franchitti is weaving from side to side as he tries to find a route past Giancarlo Fisichella's Alfa. Fisichella, one of the young newcomers in Grand Prix racing this year, and of course Franchitti, a man who surely will be in Grand Prix racing before very long. Franchitti in the 2-wheel drive Mercedes, Fisichella in the 4-wheel drive Alfa, and this battle for third place echoing the battle that's going on at the front of the field between Larini and Schneider. And I don't think that Mercedes could get any closer without hitting the back of the Alfa. But Fisichella keeping his head, keeping his line, and all at the moment Franchitti seems to be able to do is hope to pressure Fisichella into a mistake. And it doesn't look as though one's coming on that long downhill left-hander. That's where Fisichella has to keep the door shut, which he does so. Last lap now, and here come the leaders, Larini from Schneider. And as they go out of the picture, we look down the start-finish straight. There's a yellow Opel a lap behind, but where is the third-place battle? There it comes, and it's still Fisichella from Franchitti on their final lap. They come into that tight right-hander, takes them uphill to the S-bend at the top of the hill as the leaders go through it, and Bernd Schneider is as close as he can possibly be without clambering over the top of Nicola Larini's car. The crowd are getting two battles, a battle for the lead with an Alfa Romeo in it, a battle for third place with an Alfa Romeo in it. The crowd are willing on the Alfa Romeos. Norbert Haug in the Mercedes pit is willing on his silver arrows, but Fisichella still driving defensively. Oh, and I think Fisichella made a mistake, and now that's Franchitti alongside, but he couldn't capitalize on it. Rule 1 is don't make a mistake. Rule 2 is if you do make a mistake, get the car back on the line and get the door shut once more. And I have to say that Fisichella did that remarkably well. Franchitti just didn't quite have the opportunity to get by. He's still looking for it. Wide entry into the corner so that perhaps he can have a close exit and perhaps he can get alongside once more. But Fisichella isn't going to make that mistake again, or is he, as they come up over the brow, then downhill into the right-hander that follows, both of them running a little bit wide, missing the apex slightly, then the left-hander that follows, as the leading battle comes up over the brow towards the checkered flag, and it's going to be Nicola Larini's race. Nicola Larini takes the checkered flag. Bernd Schneider is second. But it's not over yet. There's still third place to be resolved as we look down towards the final left-hander. It is an Alfa. It's Giancarlo Fisichella leading Dario Franchitti as they come over the final brow, over the line. Fisichella is third. Franchitti is fourth. And in Giorgio Pianta's Alfa Romeo pit, all is delight and congratulation. A great home win for Alfa Romeo.
Big satisfaction because I win in Mugello is very important for Alfa Romeo. Larini is fantastic, and also Fisichella, incredible race. I think all public FC is fantastic, really.
I closed up the gap between Reuter and myself, and now I'm looking forward for the second race, and I think it's quite open, everything can happen.
Yes, Schneider closing on Reuter in the championship. We'll be back with race 2 from Mugello in a couple of minutes. Alex Wurz and Stefano Modena both starting from the pit lane for race 2 here at Mugello. They didn't get out of the pits in time to join this rolling start, which has Larini and Schneider once more on the front row, and Fisichella joined by Franchitti on the second row. The lights are still red, now they're green. The field move away, and Larini and Schneider once more are side by side, with Franchitti joining in the fun in third place. Schneider on the inside, somebody spinning in the middle. It's Jason Watt, whose car has spun round right in the middle of the pack. He's lost his bonnet, but incredibly, Jason Watt, the young Dane, is continuing, and somehow nobody has gone off the road. Jason Watt doing 360 degrees in the middle of the pack, but at the front it's Nicola Larini, Bernd Schneider, Dario Franchitti in third place. Fourth is Giancarlo Fisichella. Then in fifth place, the black Mercedes of Kurt Tim, ahead of Hans Stuck, who's made a good start. Once more, Oliver Gavin has moved up well. He's in 12th place at the moment. But Nicola Larini leading this second race, just as he led the first race, from Bernd Schneider. But Schneider on the inside as they come round that long corner. Schneider is there. No, he's not. Larini fights back. He's still on the inside. They touch, and Larini's off. Larini off the track. Bernd Schneider carries on. Larini gets back onto the track, and I think Fisichella's trying to go through as well. But Fisichella has to drop back. We've now got Mercedes 1 and 2 as we ride with Fisichella. The two silver arrows are leading. Bernd Schneider 1, Dario Franchitti 2. It's Fisichella 3rd. It's Kurt Tim 4th. It's Hans Stuck 5th. In 6th place, I think that's Uwe Altzen, as we watch once more the start. And you can see that Alfa going out of control on the outside and going back into the middle of the pack. I think that Christian Danner's Red Alpha gave a little nudge to Jason Watt, and Nicola Larini's in the pits and out of the race, and we see the incident again. Larini squeezed out by Schneider. The two cars definitely collided. Larini off the track on the outside, and this is Manuel Reuter, championship leader Manuel Reuter, who's been moving up, and with him has been moving Jorg van Ommen's Mercedes. There he is muscling past the other Mercedes of Bernd Maylander, number 4. But championship leader Reuter is only in 14th place at this point, and Bernd Schneider is battling for the lead. So Reuter will be concerned to move up further if he can. He'll be worrying all the time about the championship points. And there we see him again, squeezing through past Maylander on his way up the lap charts. Here's the third place battle now. Fisichella third, Kurt Timm in the Mercedes fourth. And that's Uwe Altsson squeezing ahead of Hans Stuck to take 5th place in that battle of the Opals. Alessandro Nannini in the other red and white Alfa, well down the field at this stage and not looking in contention for victory as we ride with JJ Leto. That's the 8th place battle following Alessandro Nannini there. But watch this yellow Opel, number 16, that's Uwe Altsson. He's now the best placed Opel driver in the race. He's got 3 Mercedes and 2 Alphas ahead of him, but he's really piling on the pressure, and indeed he's closing in on the Mercedes in front of him, which is the car of Kurt Timm. Hans Stuck getting a grandstand view of all of this, immediately behind him in his Opel. As now Uwe Altsson has a little look at the inside of that right-hander, but Kurt Timm was ready for him. But the pressure really on Kurt Timm now as they come down this wonderful sweeping downhill section, which leads to the long left-hander, which takes them onto the start-finish straight. They come down into that, and Altson's going through. Altson's on the inside, and he makes it. A brilliant manoeuvre there by Altsson, and that must please them in the Opel pit. And meanwhile, we've got an Alfa off. That's Alessandro Nannini in the gravel and apparently out of the race. As now we go back to the flying Altsson, who's now with Fisichella. He's alongside Fisichella. He's going for 3rd place. Fisichella fights back there wheel to wheel as we ride inside Fisichella's car. And Altsson is easing ahead as they go through the left-hander, but that means that Altsson is on the wrong side for the right-hander that follows, and Altsson has to fall back. No, he's trying the inside now. And again, we ride with Fisichella, and the two of them are touching. They're so close. Altsson fights back. Fisichella determined to hang on to this 3rd place. This is a battle for the 3rd step of the podium with 8 laps now left to run. And we've seen before that Fisichella is extremely good at keeping the door shut round Mugello, a circuit he knows very, very well indeed. What can Uwe Altsson do about it? Uwe Altsson is very, very determined indeed. And we've seen this year in several ITC races that Altsson does not like to be denied a place, and things can get just a bit too close if necessary. Well, Fisichella on his home ground in front of his home crowd is not going to give up that place, and that's the corner where Altsson did it to the Mercedes, and he's on the inside, and he's done it also to Fisichella. Fisichella sawing away at the steering wheel. You saw him in the cockpit, but Altsson has done it, and that is another supreme manoeuvre from Uwe Altsson, who now puts his Opel into 3rd place, demotes Fisichella to 4th. Still Hans Stuck 5th. Stuck, in fact, has got past Kurt Timm's Mercedes and pushed that down to 6th place. But we see it again from that high camera, and Fisichella just a little bit wide as he went into the apex, and that was all that Uwe Altsson needed. A marvellous bit of driving. Both of those cars with 4-wheel drive. We've got Hans Stuck coming into the pits now without his bonnet. Now, what does that mean? Has there been a collision somewhere out of our sight? They're taking off the old bonnet. Oh, it's the same corner, and it's Fisichella once more. Stuck up with Fisichella, just boots him into touch. And Fisichella once more inside the car with him, riding as he slithers sideways and backwards off the circuit. He has been able to restart, but I wonder what sort of trouble Hans Stuck's going to be in. There is the leader, Bernd Schneider, on his lonely way, comfortably out in front, and in fact Hans Stuck is being disqualified. He's got his new bonnet on, but they won't let him out of the pit lane, and the clerk of the course is walking towards his car, and Stuck has been disqualified. Now, here's a great five-car battle with Manuel Reuter in the middle of it, and incredibly, this is the battle for 6th place. You remember how far down Reuter was, and in fact, it's going to be 5th place because that is J.J. Leto's Opel, the other Rosberg car, Hans Stuck's teammate, and J.J. Leto nursing the car back to the pits. Clearly some sort of terminal mechanical damage as Bernd Schneider starts his final lap. It's going to be a Mercedes 1-2. There's Schneider looking very comfortable indeed on his own. Franchitti second, Alpsen third, Tim fourth, and the battle with Magnussen leading it in 5th place. Tarquini and Reuter, that means that Reuter is now 7th, and he needs to move further up in the points than that if he's going to hold on to his championship lead. There is the Mercedes of Magnussen, Tarquini, Reuter, Van Ommen and Alex Wurz at the tail of that little group, but it's Bernd Schneider who gets a very hip pit signal from the Mercedes boys. A great 1-2 for Mercedes, led by Bernd Schneider as he comes now down the hill and towards that crucial left-hander which has seen so much action today. The last corner of the Mugello circuit, the last lap for Bernd Schneider, the checkered flag waiting for him. A great Mercedes-Benz victory for Bernd Schneider. Dario Franchitti will finish second, Alpsen third, Tim fourth. Norbert Haug and the Mercedes boys are celebrating in the Mercedes pit. A great result for them, but there's still the battle going on for 6th place. We've got 4 cars arguing over 6th place with Tarquini and Manuel Reuter and Van Ommen, and at the back of them it's Alex Wurz, and Wurz is attacking Van Ommen. Wurz goes onto the outside as they go into the final left-hander. Wurz is trying to go round the outside of Reuter as well. He's on the outside of Van Ommen, and he's going to get squeezed out. They're racing for the checkered flag. Tarquini, Reuter, Van Ommen, Wurz. They're going to finish in that order. A very exciting race, but a great race for Mercedes, and in particular for Bernd Schneider. What about that incident on the first lap?
Okay, in the second race I did know that I have to take the first chance to pass him. He had cold tires, he was sliding around, and I was next to him, and he tried to close the door, but I was there, and I braked. I tried to brake, but it was too late, and I hit him slightly, but in this corner slightly is enough. I'm sorry for that, but I think when he's looking television, he will see that maybe it was his mistake.
So we have a new championship leader. Schneider leads Reuter by 2 points, and our boy Franchitti is third. Well, that's all from Mugello, and with the championship finally poised, join us next time at Hockenheim to see if Opel's Manuel Reuter can get back his championship lead on home soil. We'll see you then.
And more action from International Touring Cars returns in 2 weeks' time at 4:10.